just about now, I'm so honored to get to talk to Mr. Kafula Mwiche, who is coming in from Jacks and Partners. Obviously, he, during the conference, touched on the issue of arbitration, litigation, and liability risks in the insurance sector. That is what he was talking about when it comes to the Insurance Conference 2020. So let's find out more about what exactly makes up this, very interesting aspect of insurance. You were talking about the risks that come with insurance and the sector itself, so to speak. Why is this important for players in this sector to understand?
I think my main thrust of my presentation was arbitration, litigation, and liability risk. Liability risk is a risk that any business faces. Insurers are businesses. So if they do not manage that risk properly, they'll be found liable. Of course, insurance companies are in the business of paying claims coming out of liabilities, but that liability should never be for the insurance company. It should be for the insured. But increasingly, you find that insurance companies are targeted. Why? They're the easier pocket. We call it the deeper pocket is the insurance company. So if I have a claim against someone bashes my car, I won't bother about the guy who bashed my car. I'll run to the insurance company. Why? It's a low-hanging fruit. The insurer will pay. The guy that bashed my car will never have money, perhaps, but the insurance company has money. So we need the insurance companies to manage that risk and ensure that their liability is limited to the policies and not go to their bottom lines. So you find that insurance companies end up paying more money than they have covered themselves because why? They did not manage that risk properly.
All right. Do you think this is an aspect that some companies ignore?
Well, it's I wouldn't say ignore, but over years, when you trade as a business, you take your eyes off that ball. And because, for example, as insurers, you have a pool of money, and you think, you'll handle any liability. But that liability is now hitting your bottom line. Why? Because the pool that you've generated in terms of insurance funds is not able to meet those claims. So what you start paying now, that liability starts hitting you directly as a business. So you need to protect yourselves. That is why it's important to manage that risk.
And how important is it that such discussions should be part of the conversations among the players in this sector?
Well, I think it's important because as businesses, they must succeed. If the businesses are not profitable, they'll sink. And if the liability hits the business itself and not the product, you'll sink. So that risk is very important, it's very critical, it's very cardinal. So it's important once in a while to remind the businesses or the insurers that they're in the business of risk, but they must manage their risk as well. Yes.
All right. You take away a point from this discussion for the players. Whatever they've listened to, if they were to pick one point, what would that point be?
I think what I was trying to drive the industry is that they must choose alternative mechanisms of settling disputes, because our court systems are frankly very slow and they're very expensive. So there are other means of settling disputes. How disputes arise? Disputes arise out of claims. I've got a claim against an insurance company. I'm claiming X. The insurance company says, "Oh, pay me Y." We have a dispute. If we go to court, we'll stick in court for 5, 10 years. If I have an alternative way of resolving that dispute, we'll resolve it within 3, 4 months. So for insurance companies, I think it's important to find alternative ways of resolving those disputes. And how do they do that? They must tighten their policies and provide for those mechanisms in the policy, such that if a claimant comes to me and says, I have a dispute, we'll say, well, the policy says we're going to arbitration. We'll go to arbitration, it's faster, it's quicker, it's good for the business.
All right. Of course, maybe without mentioning names of companies and parties involved, you've been in this industry for quite a while. Is there any experience you'd love to share where there was a dispute that arose from this kind of situation?
Well, I've been in the business I joined one insurer, or a group that has an insurer, in 2008.
Yeah.
The matter went to court in 2009. The Supreme Court decision was decided in 2020. And it's still going back to court, so you can imagine. This is 12 years. I've left the business, but the matter's still in court. So now, if you're a business, how do you run a business? How are you going to plan for such eventuality? Yeah. So that is what I was trying to drive at. Mm-hmm. There must be alternative, faster means of resolving disputes. And that is what we're trying to encourage the players to try and say, look, guys, court is not the best place to play. Let's find a different playground where we can get things done. Business moves. What I would simply want to, in a nutshell, the insurance business is a key player in an economy. Mm-hmm. Insurance companies are part of the financial system. They play an important role. They contribute a lot to the GDP. So it's a business that is not very popular, not very common, because people have a mistrust. But it's an industry that is growing. If you look in other developed countries, it's the #1 business. America, for example, is run on insurance, health insurance. That is what runs the U.S. economy. So we need to pump the business and get it to that level. How do we do that? Let's educate our masses. Let's simplify things. And that is what I was trying to tell our guys. Let's simplify our policies, make them basic. Then people will be able to understand and come to the business, and the business will thrive. Make it simple. We like making it complicated.
Why is it so? You think that maybe insurance companies, because I mean,
well, there's a lot of jargon in insurance, a lot of it. Why? Yeah. Because we cut and paste from other jurisdictions. I'll get a policy from Lloyd's of London. I'll pick it up and come and put it in Zambian market. How is my brother in Kalingalinga going to understand that language? I'll pick up a policy from the US and bring it into the market. How is my mother going to understand? Make it basic, very basic. People will understand and appreciate, because no one reads between the lines. And that is a problem. Until a claim comes, then you start pointing to the guy, oh, this is what you didn't. But the guy didn't read. Why? He did not understand. So we need to make it simple. We make it basic, and everybody will be happy.
I guess that speaks to issues around innovation, because when you get a concept, you want to come and customize it.
Exactly. Innovation. How do we use, now we've got a lot of ICT, we've got a lot of technology. How do we use that? How best can we put that into the business? I think that's where the insurer should need to go. In other markets, I can buy a policy now off the shelf. I can go in the supermarket, buy it off the shelf. We don't have those things here. So we need to make it accessible, we need to make it simple, and need to make claims settlement easy, because what you find is that individuals don't trust the insurance companies. They say, why? If I pay, I'll never get, my claim will not be settled. It's a perception. So the insurance companies need to take out that perception and show to it that they are vital to the business. They are vital to the everyday life.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the market out there is yearning for a time when we're going to have payback guarantees, for instance.
Exactly. Look at the floods yesterday that happened in Lusaka. How many homes have been destroyed? Ask half of those people. They don't have policies. But they would have, had they been educated, had they known what it is. But half of the houses are destroyed, and they have nowhere to run to. But there are policies available. So we need to do a lot of education, and I think it's the role of the regulator. That is one of the cardinal issues of the regulator, is to educate.
That is Mr. Kafula Mwiche, obviously trying to give us more details around what he was talking about during the Insurance Conference 2020 organized by IAZ. He was talking about the issue of arbitration, litigation, and liability risks in the insurance sector. Thank you very much for your time.